Kiswahili Mufti. He is that, Wala bin Wala. And that series has now become the center of teaching Kiswahili in Kenya. I've interacted with a gentleman. He's put up apartments in Gong Hills. He's living a very wealthy life. In fact, when they wanted to convert the constitution to Kiswahili, who do you think they went for? He has 20 titles in his name. Believe me, at any given moment in Kenya, we have more than a million children in primary school alone. More than 1 million children. Think about the size of his market. He was able to see an opportunity where others did not see. And the interesting thing is this. Strategic thinking will also help you avoid costly mistakes. For instance, taking your retail shop before your consumer population can support it. Let me make it clear here. Strategic thinking is not strategic planning. I've had the privilege of helping many corporate organizations in Kenya go through strategic plan. And I'll tell you this very respectfully. A lot of times in real practice, strategic planning kills strategic thinking. In fact, let me give you some fundamental differences between strategic thinking and strategic planning. 1. In strategic thinking, the real focus is the process of thinking to manage change. While in strategic planning, the real focus is production of a strategic document, the strategic plan document. Number 2. In strategic thinking, only the form and the shape of the future can be determined. But in strategic planning, the future is specifiable and defined in minute details. 3. In strategic thinking, strategy, formulation, and implementation are interlinked. In strategic planning, strategy, implementation, and formulation are sequential and discrete phases. Maybe you missed. Can I repeat? Strategic thinking, strategy, formulation, and implementation are interlinked. There is no one phase followed by the other. It is cyclic. In strategic planning, strategy, formulation, and implementation are discrete sequential phases, meaning I have to complete the formulation before I go to development. Number 4. In strategic thinking, we have greater latitude for emerging opportunities. In strategic planning, it is linear and one-dimensional. Any opportunity coming along the way is ignored. It's water under the carpet. One more time. Strategic thinking has greater latitude for emerging opportunities, so they are not ignored. In strategic thinking, any emerging opportunity is ignored. It's linear and one-dimensional. Number 5. In strategic thinking, change and strategy are inescapably bound together. But in strategic planning, there is rigidity in implementation of strategy. Number 6, and perhaps the most important, in strategic thinking, strategic intents inform organizational choices. But in strategic planning, measurement systems inform organizational choices. So you find senior managers pushing their KPIs, key performance indicators. They might not be addressing the current needs in the organization, but I am the training manager, and in the implementation matrix, I'm required to do 6 trainings this year. Whether you are supposed to come for training or not, I don't care. Whether I've gotten a good trainer or not, I don't care. Whether it is addressing the needs for this year, I don't care. It's my KPI. It has to be done. Because there will be an evaluator midterm and also at the end of the strategy. Is that familiar? Yes. So you become capri. Some of you have attended trainings, places, and you are off because you're satisfying and fulfilling someone's KPI. It has nothing to do with what you want to go through. Because someone is bowed by a performance system, not strategic intent. In the ideal sense, strategic thinking should precede strategic planning. Does that make sense? Now, there's something I want to show you here. Now, in organizational leadership, this part here, if you can see, is the corporate level, also known as the strategic level. It's the highest level in the organization. And right here we have the business level, also known as the managerial level. And down here is the operational level, the knowledge level, or the technical level. So you have the strategic or corporate level that leads the entire organization. At times we call it the enterprise level. Then we have this part here. This is where the real business takes place. Then we have the implementers down here. So at this particular point, we do what we call strategic thinking at this level. This is where we have the CEO and the board. In the public sector, the PS. The second level, we do business planning. That's the level of engaging your mind. And the third level, we do project implementation. So usually, what is in red should precede what I'm going to show you in blue. So strategic thinking should precede a strategic plan. Business planning should precede a business plan. And finally, project implementation should guide the project proposal. Now here is how it works. Some of you have gone back to school to get more and more papers. I'll give an example of what I've seen in Kenya. Someone does BCom, and before they are through with their BCom, they have done CPA K, they have done CPS K. And one day you hope to be a CEO. Let me tell you, you're working very hard to be an accountant. Because you see, we have 3 levels of skills. These are conceptual skills up there. Then down here, we have people skills. And then here we have technical skills. So the CEO needs a little bit of technical skills, a little bit more people skills, but higher on conceptual skills. Yesterday, President Donald Trump, I like following international news, made a very interesting announcement. I don't know how many of you are able to get the information. They are pulled out from the Paris Accord. Now, this is a strategic decision made by the president. And he gave a very strong argument about it. So at this point, he has decided America has to use all sources of energy. This is fundamentally different from Barack Obama's policy. Barack Obama said, hey, we are going to harness wave power. We are going to harness wind power. We are going to harness solar power. We are going to work with renewable energy. Donald Trump said last night, we are going to work with all forms of energy. And I have made that decision. We are pulled out from the Paris Accord until we renegotiate how we are going to use coal and oil. Then after he makes that decision, he doesn't come here. Somebody has to find out the national grid. Are we doing more hydroelectric power projects? Is it going to be in Kidaruma? The decision has already been passed. So now we go into the implementation of this project and come up with many plans. Procurement plan is drawn there. Communication plan is drawn there. Staffing plan is drawn there. Then down here we come to the performance of the plans. We perform the communication plan. We perform the procurement plan. What does that mean? You purchase. You perform the staffing plan. What does that mean? You start recruiting. So if we had closed industries because they were driven by oil or coal, a decision has already been passed by the head of state. It has to be implemented. Someone has to find out how to harness all these sources of energy. Now, there is a likelihood. There's a woman, there's a man listening to me here this evening. And while you do not want to confess to people that you want to be a CEO, you know, you are like the animal I described, the leopard, the critical thinkers. You want to surprise us one day, you're the CEO. Before you surprise yourself, let me give you some few hints of how to reach here. Let me give you some 5 hints of how to operate at this level. The first hint on how to become a CEO, you've got to be a strategic thinker. Doc, what do you mean by that? Strategic thinkers think in terms of the value they add in the organization, not the time they spend. They don't check how many hours they work. They check the value they add, not how many years they have served. Let me ask you this. Have you heard someone complain, I've worked for this company for that years and they're not promoting me? Have you heard that? They have not increased my salary for the last 5 years. Strategic thinkers don't talk like that. They talk about value. I have a friend of mine. His name is Dennis Jao. He has something to talk about the rest of his life. He played the most pivotal role in the introduction of agency banking in Kenya. This is value, not how many years he spent when he used to work in Equity. And the last I checked with him when he went over to KCB, where he's the head of channels, he doesn't discuss how many years he has been there, but clear, tangible value he has added to the organization. Now that's a strategic thinker. If you have been complaining you've been in the organization for so long and they are not remembering you, please remember Daktari told you, you are a minor thinker. That's the reason we convened this meeting, to help you get out of that place. Don't worry, you're the reason I'm here. I'm not here because of the strategic thinkers. Strategic thinkers don't discuss about their working income. They discuss their net value. They allow their money to work for them rather than work for money. Hint number 2. If you want to become a CEO, I give you a second hint. Begin to study other CEOs. Watch the way they talk. Watch their composure. Watch the time they wake up. How they deal with trouble. How they do troubleshooting. How do they deal with difficult people. Just study them. Observe them. I've been taught by a gentleman by the name T. Joe. He's a public speaker. He's been following me. Now, last Friday, we were launching Sense 1 Life Club in Nakuru. He told me he's going to come. I discouraged him. I'm honest with you people. I spoke him out of the project. He told me, no, don't worry, Daktari, I'm coming. And for sure, the guy was there. And of course, because he's there, here to lead the meeting. Wednesday, we were having Data's Night in this place. And I was told 4 p.m. T. Joe was here. And you see, he said when they were graduating, season 1, he said he just has been, I didn't know this, he was studying me. He's been watching every move I make. And that's exactly how winners behave. They watch their mentors closely, not from a distance. The third hint I'm going to give you right now, to become the next CEO of that corporate, never whine. As a golden rule, never, ever, ever, ever complain that the work is enormous. The tasks are daunting. The responsibilities are gigantic. Never utter such words. Find out how to go around that situation, whether it's delegation or otherwise. But never, ever say with your tongue that the work is too much. Every activity you do, every work you do, let it seem effortless. You see, look at this. They pay this guy millions, and they pay this guy less than 100,000. And this is the technical person who is working. And every time I work in organizations, when I'm doing their consultancies, the first thing I hear people complaining, I do all the job, and she gets all the glory. Is that familiar? Now, I want you to know this. They pay this man a lot, not to do the technical things like accounts or ICT or recruitment, no, but to think about solutions. He's paid a lot to deal with more problems. The moment you say you don't want trouble, you're simply saying you don't want promotion. Promotion is a factor of your ability to handle pain. You climb up the ladder for you to deal with more problems, more difficulties. You don't climb up the ladder to deal with the common challenges. So never betray yourself by saying the work is daunting. Hint number 4. Learn when you have outgrown that organization. And quit. It's not a marriage. And how do you know you have outgrown it? When you've hit the ceiling, there's no space for growth. You know deep down your heart that the CEO is even younger than you. Why are you even praying and fasting? You see, I suggest become an insider outsider. What that means is this: while you're growing in that company, Don't be so glued to lose external realities of what happens elsewhere, so that you can detect your time for exit. And you must never quit when they're questioning your performance. The most critical thing you need to know in this life, if you are quitting, you have to do it when your performance is so high that there is no one to fill in your shoes. You leave an indelible mark behind. You leave such a huge vacuum. They are calling you for a renegotiation. Hint number 5, and the last one. Once you make up your mind that it is divorce time, look for a company that is collapsing. Oh, that's hard stuff, Daktari. What do you mean? I mean exactly that. Look for an organization that is on their way down, on a free fall to the doldrums. Only a strategic mind can rescue it from the dogs and take it back on course. That's the only place your value can be quantifiable. There's a clear difference because the mark of improvement is clear. And when you get in there, negotiate on a profit sharing scheme. Do not agree to go there to discuss about a carpet salary or a ceiling. Let them know you believe so much about the value you're talking about that you want to agree with them on a percentage, on a share of the cake. And then go ahead and prove it and make this organization a market leader. You'll be ripe for grabs by industries all over. You'll have sealed your place in the nation. You will no longer need to parade your qualifications and degrees. Your work will be speaking for you. Doc, is this real? Yes, that's the story of Moria. That's how he renegotiated with Centum Group. And then you can go back to the major corporates where you are at a different level of engagement. Am I communicating? Yes. This takes me to the second part of our discussion tonight, and I'm going to call it Why Strategic Thinking. Why strategic thinking? You see, you may not be interested with strategy, but strategy is interested with you. Ignore strategy at your own peril. It is not the most beautiful girl in the city that catches the attention of the king or the millionaire. It is not the richest or the most handsome man that catches the heart of the beauty queen. It is not the most qualified that becomes the corporate leader. It is not the most gifted that builds the strongest brand, whether in arts or music or drama, theatrics, it doesn't matter. It is not the most moneyed politician that wins the election. It is not the genius that wins in life. The game changer in this life is what takes place between your two ears. The game changer in this life are your thoughts, your thinking patterns. Now, unless you identify the missing link, the passing of time will never alter your outcomes. Let me suggest tonight, is it possible the missing link in your life are your thoughts? You've accepted your circumstances as binding. You've accepted there are some people who are born CEOs, and you have even been involved in a corporate debate. Leaders are born, and you have settled with it. Is it possible you have accepted your circumstances as binding? You have accepted whatever life gives you. It's a gift from on high. You have no capacity to alter circumstances. Somewhere I read, time and chance happens to them all. We all have equal time. We may not have equal opportunities, but we all get that opportunity. We all get a chance to change our yesterday. And I want to just give you some 4 reasons why strategic thinking. Number one, strategic thinking will save your time.